Here we have yet another Super Nintendo platformer. This one stars a sprightly young chap called Master Higgins, who has to rescue his girlfriend. You know, as the years go on, I'm beginning to think that feminist gamers might actually be onto something. Anyway, Master Higgins gets dropped out of the sky and goes on a jolly platform romp to get her back. The platforming controls for Super Adventure Island are surprisingly good. After struggling through Joe and Mac and the Addams Family last week, Master Higgins was pleasantly easy to control. He is practically naked though, which means it's one-hit kills all the way. He's got a wussy little jump, but by pressing down before jumping he does a super amazing high jump, a bit like in Mario 2, except you don't have to charge it up first. He's got two different weapons at his disposal, and you can swap between them as you go and charge them up to a more powerful version if you collect them. In a nutshell, the hammer is the bad weapon, the boomerang is the good one. I stuck with the boomerang as much as I could. Also, sometimes Master Higgins finds a skateboard and goes for a ride, but yeah, one hit and the skateboard's gone. This is actually a fun little game, but it's just that, little. It's short and it's easy. It can be completed in a single afternoon with not much effort. It's fun while it lasts though. Not a masterpiece, but a pleasant diversion. Anyone who's been joining me in the year of retro gaming would remember back in episode 10, I talked about the difference between Contra and Probotector. Well, the exact same differences apply here. In America they had Contra 3, in Europe and Australasia we got Super Probotector. Same game, different sprites. Since I took the Contra path last time, I'll go with Probotector this time. What this game does is takes the original Contra concept and cranks it up to 11. While most of the gameplay hasn't changed too much, the massive scale of the set pieces and some enormous bosses make this one of those games where you're just staring wide-eyed at the screen, desperately hoping not to miss a frame of the action, lest a stray bullet knock you out. There's a couple of strange overhead levels added into the mix, and they're not anywhere near as fun as the main game. It's like Konami just felt like they had to add their obligatory Mode 7 levels to show off what the Super NES could do. As with all games in the series, it's stupidly difficult, but the Konami code still works. And hey, if you're a wuss like me and you just want to see the game through to its end, you can always use an action replay for infinite lives. Super Probotector is crazy fun. If you're up for the challenge, go make some carnage. Sonic the Hedgehog 2, my favourite Mega Drive game. I've played this game much more than any of the other Sonics. The story goes that while the first game was very much a Japanese production, development of the sequel took place over 2 continents and ended up splitting into 2 completely different games. The America developed game is what we got in Sonic 2, and the Japanese one became Sonic CD. Sonic 2 was the first one out though, and it was the first game to seriously make me doubt my loyalty to Nintendo. I hired a Mega Drive console from the video store at least 5 or 6 times just to play Sonic 2. Pretty much everything is improved from the first game without changing any of the core mechanics. Sonic still attacks by jumping, he's still invincible as long as he's holding at least one ring, he can still choose one of many different paths through the levels, and he's still super fast, even more so now. There's a couple of new additions that add to the fun though. The first is the Spin Dash. It's hard to imagine Sonic without it now. To be able to get an instant boost of speed was an excellent gameplay addition. There's also the new playable character Miles Prower, yeah, get it? Otherwise known as Tails, the two-tailed fox. In the one-player game, he'll just follow you around and generally do not much. You can choose to play as Tails if you want, but he's really just there for the two-player game. He's a cool little character, but one has to wonder, if Sonic is so fantastically fast, how come the little fox can keep up with him? Anyway, the levels are much more varied in the sequel. They all have their own themes and obstacles, and tackling a new stage means tackling a whole new set of challenges. It starts off in the Emerald Hill Zone, fairly basic stuff, lots of wide open spaces. Then we're into the Chemical Plant Zone where the speed goes off the charts. Then the action slows down a bit in the Aquatic Ruin Zone. This is the token underwater level, but you can play the whole stage without going in the water if you just stay up high. Next is Casino Night Zone, which is a fantastic extension of the ideas in Sonic 1's Spring Yard. Is this a hedgehog or a pinball? The hilltop zone is next, where Sonic goes high above the clouds to the top of an active volcano. Mystic Cave Zone is much more claustrophobic, with dark and eerie tunnels. Best music in the game in this zone. Oil Ocean Zone is set on a refinery, which is somewhere in the Middle East if the music is anything to go by. Metropolis Zone is the token high-tech machinery level, and it's got some of the most annoying enemies in the entire series. In the 3-part finale, Sonic chases Dr. Robotnik through the sky, then makes his way across the outside of the mad scientist's airship before facing him in the final showdown inside the Death Egg spaceship. The special stages in the game were given a brilliant 3-dimensional makeover, which may look pretty nyeh now, but back then it was mind-blowing. Yeah, Sonic 2 starts off fairly easy, but by the last few stages it becomes pretty difficult, especially that last boss. Ugh, what a frustrating battle. Especially since there's no rings in the final level, so it's perfection or nothing. Once you recognise the patterns though, practice makes perfect. There's not much more to say. It's a fantastic fun game, still good to come back to time and time again. It's my favourite Mega Drive game, so it's no surprise that it still stands the test of time. Next week, a couple of Konami classics. Those Heroes in a Half Shell, Travel Through Time, and Castlevania 4. Wait, what? 4? What about 3? Find out the answer to that next week. Peace out.